Okie dokie, shot of FootyCast, live from BackChat Studios, right here in Perth. That is the boys out of Thornley Southern River Band playing you some nice tunes off the top. Shot of FootyCast.com for all of the news. Skeeter just said, thank God his mates have gone home so he can stop drinking shelters. His liver's recovering. How are you, Skeet? How's the
good,
weekend?
yeah, no, busy. We had the Origin Wednesday, had Thursday, obviously the Dockers game.
Yes.
Saturday went to the NRL here and a heap of sport in between, so it was good.
Did you go to Saturday as
I went
well?
Saturday, yeah, so it was good. It was busy. It was busy, but yeah, we're sort of through in that weird part of the footy season where there's a bye. Feels like for about 7 weeks in a row. It doesn't feel good. The footy actually, the top 8 and the bottom 8, it just doesn't feel the same. This time last year, put it this way, this time last year was set up for a grandstand finish for the finals, but not quite sure it's got that same buzz at the moment.
Well, we can. There's a few big items to get off the top, Skate, but I mean, if we just go with that, the top 9 is set. Like right. Like no one else is. Carlton's not. Like Carlton is not doing anything.
Mate, I called the game Saturday and we were supposed to cross to the 3AW's coverage of Port Adelaide, Sydney. We had to delay that for about 10 minutes for the start. The game was underway in Adelaide. Carlton supporters were going bananas, and that's continued this morning.
You or to 3AW?
No, to 3AW, because they were going to take the call. We were taking their call, but because they were taking irate Carlton support, oh, mate, it's blown up over there big time.
They couldn't even start the game.
Well, the game they couldn't throw to the game because there are too many supporters at Carlton going berserk. They want Voss sacked, the players sacked. And even as I was calling the game, I thought, this has got huge ramifications, and credit to North for winning, but
that's
Carlton were
unsurprising, wasn't it? Did you pick North Melbourne?
No, you tipped North, and you've got one right.
That's absolutely right. 6 from 7 on the weekend.
Did you? Well
How'd
done.
you go?
You're back.
You got 4.
Did I get 4? Did I?
You did.
So
Geelong, Carlton, and Port. You tipped. All losers.
I picked more than that.
You.
No, I picked Fremantle as well. You tool.
I got 6. How did I get 6? I was just literally shooting from the hip. Like, I tipped Geelong. It's the only one I got wrong.
You tipped
Sydney, yep.
Sydney to win. Okay,
yep.
No, good for you.
GWS.
Yeah, there's one weekend a year is always good to see you fire up.
That's what I thought. Well, I was just unsurprised Carlton lost because
as soon as I saw that game unfold, I thought
you're waiting for the text.
No, I thought North Melbourne are a real show here because Carlton were terrible.
They were poor. The 9 is set right now. I think because Carlton Sydney.
And the problem is
Can Sydney?
No, I don't think Sydney, Port, any of those teams. The question is, have the Gold Coast Suns got enough in their character to? And look, they've got a game in hand. That's an issue we have to bear in mind.
As I've been speaking about all year, this Essendon Gold Coast game at the end of the year is going to be a pile of shit, one way or the other. Either Gold Coast have summed up top 2 and don't give a shit, or they're just playing Essendon, who are 17th.
They'll have 17 blokes in for surgery.
Yeah, correct. And Gold Coast just get a win. Like, no worries. It is an absolute disaster for the AFL what's going on here. What would be a disaster for the AFL as well, right? Around some of the comments Ross Lyon made, back around them. If Gold Coast miss the finals after how they've started, that would be one of the all-time bed shits you've ever seen, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Look, and if you break it down, their form at home is always pretty solid. They have been beaten, though, by the Dockers up there. They've had those 2 games up in Darwin. They played some really good footy in the first half, and the good news for them is that Matt Rowell is essentially committed for the next 2 years, which I think, that came on Friday. But, yeah, they're the team that you think, come on, boys, show something. Show something because there's a fair chance. Again, I think it'll probably come down, as you say, to that last game for whether they get in the 8 or not.
That game yesterday, I watched every minute of it. I've never seen a team dominate another team so much than what Gold Coast did in the first quarter of GWS. They should have been 8-0. Well,
if Walters kicked that goal...
There was 2 of them. There was another one 5 minutes before.
It was their best ever first quarter.
Yeah, but they were taking one-handers. They were out the front of stoppage. Like, it was just an absolute bloodbath. They don't take their chances, and then they just went to water. They gave up 9 goals in the last quarter, I think, or 8 goals to 0.
Giants have done that a couple of times this year against Richmond. They've stormed home. A few question marks against the Giants, but I guess in many ways the Suns.
No.
Yes, there are. You don't think there's any question marks against the Giants?
Not off that game, mate. That makes the season. They've just gone back to back Brisbane, Gold Coast. They just beat Brisbane, who was second, and they just knocked off Gold Coast after trailing by 7 goals. That's as good as it gets for GWS. Now the question mark might be, well, you shouldn't be 7 goals down in the first place. That I'll give you that.
That's my point. I'm concerned about. But you're right, a lot of character.
That sort of win makes, that galvanises, that does all that.
They did it against Richmond as well. But my point is, if you're playing the better sides, and I'm not sure the Gold Coast are quite there yet.
You're just not hanging Richmond's emblem up on the wall as someone you knocked off. Jeremy McGovern has medically retired from the AFL. This happened on Friday. Feels like a bit of a lifetime ago, Skeeter.
Yeah. Well,
why don't you ask me? I don't know. Why don't you ask me a question?
Well, only because I was not covering as closely as you, and you know him really well. I think this was a decision which he knew was coming or thought was coming, and there's two. I've got to ask this question with regards to him and his contract, how that plays out because of the concussion element. And to be totally honest, I'm not sure how these are played out for those players, like whether it's Angus Brayshaw or Jay McGovern, how that plays out. But, yeah.
How about I start by summarising his career, and we'll start on the positive stuff rather than getting into concussions and contracts. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Jeremy McGovern, greatest ever modern-day defender, I think. Liked kicking up a nice stink on Twitter about that. People think Scarlett and Rance are in the conversation. Of course they are. Go and look at the numbers, though. No one's intercepted the ball better than Jeremy McGovern. And in modern-day football, the intercept game is what changed the game. So there's very few players in AFL history that have changed the game, personally. Dean Cox is one of them. Changed rucks and the way that people looked at ruckman. They went from big, lumbering 130 kilos to 100-kilo athletes that kick goals, that run, and now we see Gawn and Cherry and Darcy Cameron and all these guys now. But that was because of Dean Cox. Jeremy McGovern changed the way that the AFL was played. There's been great defenders. There's been great defenders at West Coast, Darren Glass, Glenn Jakovic. He may not, if you talk about all-time defenders, he may not even be the best ever defender to play for West Coast. Glenn Jakovic probably has that title. But in terms of modern-day football and the way the game is played right now, he changed the game. So that's why I've got him in front of anyone else.
When you say he changed the game, do you think the game changed and he adapted better than anyone?
No. He played the way that he knew how to play best, which was to...
That roll off.
It wasn't roll off. His one-on-one stats are as good as anyone's. It was reference a man and then read the footy. People think he didn't used to play on anyone. Seriously, go do your homework and then come back to me. I had people coming at me on Twitter saying, "Oh, he didn't used to play anyone." Don't worry, he used to play on people and he used to beat them too. But Jeremy McGovern, from an intercept point of view and marking and turnover game, that is where the game has gone right now. And he did it. There's been no defender better than him. If you speak to any side that coached against him, they would spend a long period of time planning against how to get the ball away from him, and they still couldn't do it.
And I know you referenced this with a funny story, and it is a great story in the end, but you go back to 2018, you go back to what happened in the last 3 minutes, and the chain started with him.
Well, intercept mark, and he was on to go, but he read off him and marked over Jeddah and Myercheck, I think. So that is if you want to look at how he played the game, 3 minutes to go in a grand final to win a premiership, that's exactly right. So he had broken ribs that game. He broke them during the grand final. He had internal bleeding beforehand. He was injected. He should not have played that grand final. He was in the best players. I was in the room at West Coast when Gov retired to the players, so we sort of invited a few friends and family to be there as well. It was a pretty tight group, which was awesome. 2018 boys in the room, and Gov's speech was what it was, but they had Adam Simpson deliver a speech to the players, which was heartfelt and really quite, if you. Not that Gov was ever a teacher's pet, but Gov was clearly Simo's favourite player.
Really?
Oh, mate, for that reason. Imagine rolling into a game knowing you've got a backman. They don't win anything. They don't win any awards. You've got a backman that the opposition's focusing on. But it doesn't make no other sides did that, mate. And so Simo's just rolling in games going, I'm just going to focus on the midfield and the forward line because I know I've got Gov there sorting it out.
Can I just play devil's advocate? So, as great a player as he was he there's always a question mark. Was he the hardest trainer? Was he the best worker in that sense of the game? Was he that complete in terms of the professionalism that got him to where he was, or did he had this innate ability to read the play so well and had that aerial ability that made him so special?
I mean, no, was he the hardest trainer? No, but I've played with plenty of hard trainers that have played no games of AFL. That doesn't make you an AFL player. It's a part of it, and he worked bloody hard because I felt like he had to, because his body was different to most, and so he was a bloody hard worker. Was he Matt Priddis? No. I don't think Matt Priddis would have had the career that Gov had in Gov's body. Like, it doesn't work like that. That's not how hard training and ticking every box doesn't mean you're the greatest ever player. I don't think anyway.
So I guess more pertinently now, given he's been forced to retire and under the circumstances, you can't ever plan for what's just happened to him. How do you think, and we talk about this in players retiring suddenly, it's a major adjustment to forget his football stuff, because that speaks for itself as you've just done. How difficult is the next 6 months for him going to be? Or do you think he's one of those guys who'll go back into the plumbing business or whatever he's got?
Yeah, I mean, it's no more difficult or less difficult than anyone else, to be honest. Everyone retires or gets sacked. You don't get to play forever, and so
just a bit. This is a bit unusual, isn't it? The way it's transpired.
But what if he did his knee?
Well, do your knee, you're gone. Like, for instance, Chris Judd, when he went down, gone. Callum Ward, most likely gone. Jay McGovern, because it seemed innocuous on the night or the day.
He didn't just get to the concussion panel without telling you too much. Like,
there's several.
He knew, mate. Like, he knew that he was on a fine line.
Yeah.
Which is, I called that game, and I hopped a lot of backlash for how I reacted. I reacted pretty aggressively towards those involved in that incident, because I knew too. Anyway, it'd be no different between anyone else retiring. And in terms of how he set himself up, so he's got a plumbing and electrical business. He's got a foundation that he heads up as well. Works a lot with charities and not-for-profit organisations. He's got plenty to do, but it is no different to anyone finishing. Whether you get medically retired, you injure yourself, you get sacked, or you just retire because you're too old and grumpy like me.
Has he got ambitions for coaching and taking your job? Anything like that?
My job? I wouldn't have thought so. I don't think he'll coach. No, I think he'll be. I reckon you'll find him down South Albany way at some point in the next few years. I reckon he'll probably check right out and get out of here.
Wow.
That sort of bloke. But he's probably too busy to do that just yet. But we wish him all the best, certainly. Like I said, terrific teammate, terrific bloke, and he'll be just fine. But he'll find it difficult out of the game, to answer your question. Like everyone does. It doesn't matter how well you're set up. You just lose purpose. You lose purpose. You lose structure. You're not doing something that you've done at the highest level for 10 to 12 years, something in which, like, he won an All-Australian, I think, every second year of his career or something along those lines. Like, once he won his first, he won one every 2 years. Like, to be able to do that, to be able to keep performing, to not drop off. Like, he won it last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, like...
That's what I'm saying. That's what...
Unbelievable.
For me, I know you say do a knee, you're right. It's the same result as what's happened here. Just that he was, I'm not saying at the top of his game, but he's still the best player at the West Coast Eagles. Yeah. If he's playing this way, he's got a better record than anyone.
I actually think it's been, and I'm not saying you are, but I have found a bit, like, a lot of the questioning. Well, no, you are a little bit, and it's not. Again, I'm just not saying it's your fault, but, like, there's been a lot of negativity about it, and, like, it goes into negative. You go very quickly into the contracts and the concussions, and it's different. I just look at it positively. He's had a brilliant career. He's won a premiership, 5-time All-Australian, best and fairest winner. There's not much more he could have done. Yes. Okay, great. It would be nice to play on and ride off into the sunset. I reckon I'm using his words there. He literally said that. He would have loved to have done that. But no one gets to. Literally no one. Like, you think about everyone who, like, very, very, very few players go, okay, that's enough for me. I've done. Like, Scott Penderbury looks like he's going to go and do that. Well,
the riding into the sunset is winning a flag and retiring after the premiership.
Well, that's Lecker.
Yes.
Right, so Lecker did that. But he had plenty of bloody adversity during his career. It wasn't all roses for Lecker. So all I'm saying is, I find it difficult to get into any sort of negative territory when someone retires, regardless of how it happens. I think he's had a terrific career, and and he's done now. So just like the rest of us. So like, welcome to the bloody fold, to be honest, Gov. All right, we keep moving.
Yes.
Oscar Allen's season's done at West Coast.
Is he done at West Coast? That's the next question, which has to be asked. And look, let's hope that gets resolved one way or the other pretty soon. I mean, I'm not sure it will, because I reckon this has now put a bit of a spanner in the works, surely, with his trade value. If he wants to go, or if he wants to stay and there's a contract in place, does that have the same value? Does it have the same longevity prior to this incident or this injury?
The reports I read, and the best I've seen is from John Ralph, he said West Coast are in a really good position. Currently, they need an offer over $800,000 to get a first round compensation. So if that happens, they'll let him go.
Yep.
If the offer from Brisbane or anyone else is under 800, West Coast will match it, and he won't go, because that's what they value him at. So they'll either keep him and pay him probably unders,
Yes.
or they'll let him go and they'll get pick 2 or pick 1 or pick 3 or whatever they finish on later.
Yeah.
That's a good position for West Coast to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But from a Brisbane or a Hawthorn, whoever it is, the question is, now, that for me, it complicates things a bit.
You're going to go and pay Oscar Allen over 800. So if someone else wants him, I reckon he's gone. If you want Oscar Allen to leave West Coast, leave Western Australia, uproot his family, be away from his own, go and join another club as the captain of West Coast, you're paying him over 800. Are you not?
Yeah.
Like some of these bloody get paid $1.4 million bucks. Like, come on. You're going to pay Oscar Allen $800,001, I reckon. Oh, yeah.
Providing his body's... Yeah, the body factor is something that...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if they don't, West Coast will just keep him.
Yeah.
They'll keep their captain, which, again...
What's the best result, just quickly, what is the best result for the football club moving forward, do you think?
Keep your captain.
Yep.
Culture, belief, clubs doing what they say they'll... I've been in that case the whole time. So whether or not he goes anywhere else, his knee is what it is. So either another club wants him or he's not going to not play AFL, I don't think. I keep your captain. Otherwise, don't name him your captain in the first place. Fair enough. Ryan Daniels reporting Victoria versus Western Australia. State of Origin is back, baby, February 2026. You seem to think this is old news. I don't. I don't think anyone's come out and said this is happening.
That's what I've heard this, I think, and to be fair, I think Carolyn Wilson said February next year about 2 months ago, but not... Okay. That's what I'd heard. So I'm not surprised by it, because the word was that it was going to replace the All-Stars game.
Yeah.
And probably in Perth.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah. So that same sort of late Feb.
Would you play them both? No.
No. I think it's just a WA Victoria, and then how it works after that, I have no idea of what they're planning on doing in terms of Origins back for us and for Victoria, but what does it mean for South Australia?
You get 55.
Of course you would.
57. How many people fit in that thing? 57,000?
Yeah, that's 57 at the rugby league.
You would get 57 for State of Origin. It's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Would you not?
I think so, yeah. I mean, February's a bit different, but whether that's the right time of the year to have it is another argument.
Okay, very good. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shelter Brewing Co., the beer that we cannot get enough of. Okay, Skeeter, let's get into the games. By the way, everyone's tuning in on YouTube or listening along and wondering where Skeeter's hazy is. We did not put one in the fridge for him, and he didn't want to have a warm hazy on the pot, which I didn't want to do for you.
No, not on a Monday. I mean, Thursday.
It feels like you're a little bit under the weather.
No, I'm fine. No, I'm actually been for a walk this morning. I've done exercise. I'm on the move. I've got to try and watch Game 7 in the NBA pretty shortly as well.
I keep going on about it, but you just remind me of me. Like, you get asked one question about drinking or how you're feeling, and I agree. You can't have a negative answer, right? Because you're getting asked by your wife or like someone, your boss or someone like, no, I'm good. No, I feel $100. $1 million. I'm just telling you.
I'm telling you. I'll tell you when I'm feeling crap. I'm feeling actually okay.
You never feel crap. You're always here.
Sunday. Well, of course, you just got to show up. Even you, when you can't talk. Yeah, I'm good, yeah. Yeah. I turned up to work. You dickhead.
Very good. So we'll get you the Hazy Thursday.
Yeah.
We'll kick things off with it's a footy better with Shelter and the Hazy. You might want to bring a straw, Skeeter. You can have it out again. That's going to be brilliant. I'll see you Thursday with a hazy. Fremantle, 104 defeated Essendon 63 Optus Stadium Thursday. This was a little earlier on in the week, of course. Docker's pretty clinical in this one. Won every quarter, as expected. Guaranteed win, as I told you, Skeeter.
Well, they were $1.10, so you probably were. You're not telling me something extraordinary out of the blue. Like the North Melbourne, kudos to you. You're a genius. The Fremantle selection as a guaranteed, probably not as valid, but yeah, we'll take that on board.
Luke Jackson, one-on-one with the debutant, probably not ideal for the young fella.
No, it's interesting. I asked David Mundy this question after the game. Who gets your 3 votes? Because Caleb Sarong was outstanding as well. He had Sarong there. I asked him about Jackson, and Jackson was enormous, and I think Sarong had a pretty big night as well. And he said he went with Sarong, I'm pretty sure.
Excuse me,
Well, he did.
Mundy. Oh, I mean, okay, is that just because he beat up on a young kid? He kicked 3, had 50 hit-outs and 21 touches, 4 marks, 4 tackles. I can see Sarong's too, 35 and 2 goals. But
I just asked the question.
Okay, let me ask you this. If Sarong had a debutant hitting to him, would he have had those numbers? I don't think so.
No. That
Jackson would have done what he had done without Sarong.
What David clarified by his decision to say I thought Sarong was probably best on was because Jackson had a kid on him. So he wasn't knocking Jackson at all.
And Dave's a midfielder as well.
Exactly. That probably played into it.
They absolutely love each other. They both played pretty well.
They both Dockers were sound. Looked like they could have put them to the sword a few times during the night. They didn't do that. A lot of Essendon people said to me, why is Zach Merritt not playing more inside mid?
Well, he got tagged heavily.
But his role has been, unless they're trying to protect him from what, I'm not sure, but obviously it's more...
the week before, they could have won the game. I'm making this up here.
They got thrashed by Geelong by 90 points. So
the week before that against Carlton, he was getting tagged. He spent the last quarter
forward
in the forward line.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
I understand what Brad Scott was trying to do, but I think that the general consensus has been if you're talking A-grade midfielders, he is. I mean, Corbell has been good at times this year. Parrish obviously is back, but has had his second or third game back. Merritt's the guy that if you're going to try and get something happening out of the middle, you want him there, not on the wing.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, that's an argument Essendon supporters come up with more from a Fremantle perspective. Yeah, I thought it was serviceable, workmanlike. It also begs the question, I know because Vicentini's a first gamer, whether once Darcy's available, once Hayden Young's available, once they get the full complement, here's my question to you. Nat Fyfe, is he a sub moving forward? Does he keep his place in the side? Because to me, still, I just got a question. As great as he's been, he doesn't want to kick the ball. What do you do with him?
So Chris Be Thy Name on Insta said just getting done what needs to be done, which is what you've just surmised. It does feel like they're playing Fifey to play him, right? Like I think they've got one too many midfielders in the side right now. Like, so he had 11 touches. Did he get subbed off? Who got subbed off?
I think he got subbed off from memory. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, Aish came on. I'm pretty sure he replaced him, yeah.
But they've got one too many. So when that happens, like Sarong, we've got Sarong, Brayshaw, Erasmus.
Erasmus and Johnson, the two guys and the gun.
I haven't been minding Erasmus's sort of, O'Driscoll comes in, he's a must, but he's not an inside midfielder, although I'm sure he had CBAs on the weekend. I'm sure he attended centre bounces, which I find bizarre given the amount of players they got in that side.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you why, because I saw him play for Peel last year and he was used by Adam Reid inside the centre square quite regularly. And that may well have been on the instruction of Justin Longmuir. So, I don't think that's a surprise. But
if he's doing that, then there's probably not much room for Fyfe.
That's my question. And I don't know what you do with him, whether you just try and keep him as a sub moving forward. Yeah, that's the only selection quandary I would have thought for Fremantle moving forward. I don't think Isaiah Dudley played in the waffle. He will be pushing to come back into the side perhaps at some stage. But Michael Walters, you just wonder whether there's room for him as well. Yeah, it's put it this way: to have Fyfe and Walters just ready to go if required, I think it's not bad in case of emergency.
Yeah, they'll both find their way through the waffle. They're not going to. I don't think Fyfe will play the rest of the year. But like you said, I don't think it's the worst person in the world to have playing in the waffle playing well.
He just looks
for a sub.
I say this. We've said this before. It looks as if he's lost complete confidence in his kicking. In terms of
But that's been 3 years in the making, hasn't it?
Yeah, you're probably right. And when he went forward, that was when you thought, gee, he's obviously not a forward, a natural forward. So he's an inside mid. And to be fair, the last 2 weeks prior to Thursday, he'd played, I think, maybe a quarter or a quarter and a half because of the sub situation. So maybe he just needed to get some Ks under the belt. But yeah, I'll just selection-wise, he's the one that is the curious.
The decision for me is less about Fife and his playing ability and more about too many midfielders in the they could play Erasmus and play Fife. I just think they've got one too many inside mids in the side right now, and you could replace that with a Dudley or a Walters as more of a forward, and they'd still have enough to rotate through there because Shea Bolton can go inside. Like we've seen him do that because. What it's meaning as well, like his big patch of footy over the last month, he's not getting any centre bounce attendances now because there's too many inside mids in the side.
Speaking of Shea, just changing the angles, there was a bit of noise on radio. I was listening to Melbourne radio on Friday morning just about Shea and his so-called taunting of the young Bombers when the goal was kicked and he was giving them a bit of lip and they thought a couple of people thought it was a bit over the top.
Do you reckon?
I didn't.
To anyone who says that. I bet you they were Bombers fans. What do you think that just comes out of nowhere? Like, do you think these people understand what happens out in the field? Do you reckon he's replying to something?
There's been some yap out there, of course.
Oh, well, so just get on with it, you idiots. Like, please give it to them, especially if they're playing so poorly. Like Essendon is so poor. You'd have to be so disappointed. I know they're so injured. I'll give them that out. They're very injured.
Yep.
Skeeter, just letting you know, tickets are on sale for Australia's best beer festival, Froth Town. That's right, Skeeter. Froth have taken the crown, just like Gov has, as the Australia's best modern-day defender. Well, this is Australia's best beer fest. And if you can get in on the action on the 22nd and 23rd of August, Skeet will be there with me. That's right. Chuck a couple of hazies down Skeeter's throat and we'll see where the night takes us. I can tell you where it'll end, at the shoe. If Skeet's getting the hazies in. You tried to go there today, didn't you? Yesterday, Saturday.
Friday. Yeah. Well, I was just popping in for one after lunch, but one of my passengers wasn't up to it.
Head to froth.town for tickets. Yes, that's a website. Froth.town. Save yourself a few bucks, which Skeeter likes to do, no doubt, and get in on the first ticket release while it lasts. Okay, Skeet? Happy with that?
Good.
Okay, very good. Let's keep moving. Brisbane defeated Geelong at 92-51. GMHBA Stadium called this one with 6PR. This was an absolute demolishing. They picked them apart in every part of the game. Geelong were nowhere.
And Chris Scott, he actually wasn't that upset after the game, certainly in his press conference. He said had an off night. I mean, Danger's 350th, but they were off in every aspect of their game. And Brisbane's that side that you look at and you go, well, when they're challenged or when they have an opposition they believe that is worthy of them stepping up to their A-grade form, they have this ability to change gears. And the problem is when they're playing at home this year, they've lost a couple of games, but their best is still clearly, at least if not as good as Collingwood, it's right in that conversation.
Yeah, I agree. So the major discrepancy in this one, Brisbane kicked 10-6 from turnover. At one stage in the game, they'd kicked 8-6 from turnover. Geelong had kicked 2 behinds. It was halfway through the third quarter. So this is a little bit of inner footy sort of stuff, Skeet, and you'll probably switch off a little bit.
Yeah, I've just gone.
Yeah, correct. Just put some bets on while I talk to people who are interested in footy. So the game, like I spoke about with Gov, is about turnover. So it's about creating turnover and it's also about defending off turnover. So if you go into a game, if you play a game halfway through the third, you've kicked 8 and the other side's kicked 8, it's all good because it means you're actually creating opportunities the other way. Yes, you're giving some goals up, but yes, you're creating the other way. If the other side has kicked 8 and you've kicked 0, not only does it mean you can't defend turnover, but it means you can't attack off turnover. So they weren't scoring and they weren't defending. So it's just, that's why it was a bloodbath. I saw that stat, 5 minutes. It was sort of heading that way towards the back end of the second quarter, and you just cannot win a game of football. That's why I reckon Chris Scott wouldn't have been that disappointed because, disappointed and ones you're angry out of the games that you can win. They just could not. They could not have won that game. I don't know how you sort of, you almost got to put it in the bin and not review it.
I agree. And look, Geelong's been good and up for a long time, and I tend to agree they're not going to lose a lot of sleep over what happened on Friday night. Mind you, they'll have a look at it and think, this is what we'd have to do to improve. But they were, I think you said it, they were shaded in every aspect of the game.
A lot of carry on about Logan Morris. Second week in a row he's kicked 5 goals. Youngest player since Matthew Lloyd in 1997 to do that.
Didn't know that.
Now kicked 30 goals this year. Was picked 31 just 18 months ago.
Yeah, well, given Joe Danaher's retirement, they've got Sam Data come in and essentially just be the stopgap if required. But Logan Morris is the future of Brisbane's forward line.
He's a premiership player. He played in the premiership.
Yeah. But he's also still pretty raw. So there's but they've lost Jack Payne, which is obviously significant moving forward, and that will maybe have a greater impact in September. But we know their quality in the midfield, and they've got that little X factor that those small forwards that they can use through there. And Rayner's a gun. I think he's
19 touches, 5 clearances, 3 goals. He was an absolute X factor. Ryan Lester, who covered for Payne, he's 190 and he played on Jeremy Cameron all night. Like, he's going to have to really step up, but he's one of the most unheralded players in the whole league. He does that every week.
Darcy Gardner's one that I think they'll try and use in similar positions as well. But that's a comprehensive win. Lions, look, to be honest with you, is there any difference between finishing first and second? Maybe financially, is there something? But more about, I'm talking about the finals. You finish second, you still got the same benefits as finishing first.
I guess you play third instead of fourth.
Yeah, in that sense, maybe that's
depending on who finishes third and fourth.
Top two is what Collingwood and Brisbane are sort of eyeing off right now.
The recruitment of Logan Morris at 31, it had a lot of news this week. I don't know how. Like, I don't really know the inner sanctum of recruiting and stuff, but 31 means everyone missed him pretty much twice, pretty much. So it's not really on any one team, but it does start screaming at teams that need a key forward. Like, who did you draft? Like, North Melbourne need another one. St Kilda definitely need another one.
There's so many of those stories. I mean, Aaron Norton was overlooked early. So you can go through, there's a litany of players who have got through the system. But you're right, he don't want to be missing those players that are a key forward, for instance. They're hard to find, aren't they, that develop early?
Yeah. North Melbourne 84 defeated Carlton 73 at the MCG. I thought this was like a block. Oh, yeah. North Melbourne led at 46
at three-quarter time.
Did they almost win, Carlton? No, they lost by 11.
No, but I was saying on the radio call, I said, all Carlton has to do, and I say, they need to be within 3 or 4 goals at three-quarter time. And you knew that North Melbourne, they don't know how to win. I know that they struggle to the habits of winning. And whether it's instructional or not, but North Melbourne played to the scoreboard.
They kicked 5-5 the Blues to 0.
They didn't look like, and North, they parked the bus and it almost cost them. It did, and it's almost a discredit to Carlton the fact they got that close because of what had happened earlier in the match. And look, you go through, looking in the media today, and Carlton are suggesting it's not just Vossi, it's not just that, but they have got real issues with their list.
So, I didn't see this game. What happened? Like, how does North roll aside like that? Because North aren't very good.
No, you're right, but they're
promising and they're tempting us or whatever. But I've seen enough of them to know they're up by 46 points at three-quarter time.
Yeah, well, guys like,
what were Carlton doing?
Well, Davies Uniacke is a gun. Wardlaw, fantastic. Powell.
No, Carlton. What was wrong with Carlton?
The quality might be underselling what North did for portions of that match. But by the same token, Carlton, they did look completely off. And the extraordinary thing was Jacob Wiedering goes off, injured with an ankle, looked like he was gone for the match, maybe the year. We said that could be it, season over. He comes back on 10 minutes later and plays out the game. I mean, Jack Darling received this massive gash down his leg. He returned and Jack, played the role that he had to play.
He was in hospital, Jack, off that.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, I saw pictures.
Yeah, the gash was significant. Yeah. It was really average. It was just some studs, I think, going down. Colby McKercher. So they've actually got these kids that, if you look at the numbers, I think this is why you picked North last week. Over the past 2 months, their figures are pretty good. The metrics against Fremantle were good.
Yes.
They don't have that quality. That's maybe why they've recruited guys like Luke Parker into that group to try and give them that steady head when when teams are coming at them. But yeah, if you're a North supporter, you're sitting back thinking, all the press, all the criticisms on Carlton, which is fair enough, and Graham Wright, the new CEO, will come in, and I've got no doubt there'll be some major changes at that football club.
So you haven't answered my question.
What's wrong?
You haven't. What?
The midfield's slow. They're no good. Midfield's no good.
So Cripps, Chera,
they were smashed. They were smashed.
They're no good.
They were no good on Saturday.
Right.
And to be honest with you, if you look back,
that's who Voss was going at 3/4 time.
Well, he was pointing the finger.
That was the midfield group.
Yeah, and Binns was in his line of sight, which people sort of suggested it was him. I thought it was more along the lines of Hewitt and what was happening in that third quarter. They were terrible, and Vossi gave them an absolute spray. But they don't have that. We know their quality up the top's good, but they don't have that next level tier of player that I think can take them anywhere. They're not playing finals this year.
But we didn't think that at the start of this year.
But they played finals last year. They make a prelim final, I think, 40 games ago. And with a side that's pretty similar to what they've got now. I know Marchbank's gone from that team and there's a couple of others, but De Koning's come on so you would have thought
better.
He's becoming a player, but yeah, it was more the way they went about their work. No energy, no appetite for the contest, and they got exposed by a young team.
They've built a side around contested ball and like contest and stoppage and bulls in there. Like those players and Hewitt and Chera, and none of them are quick. Cripps.
No, well, that word you said.
None of them are quick. But
there's no speed either.
Yeah, so they've built their game around this contested game. The game isn't that. The game isn't that. So that's where the coaches that's where questions start coming for the coaches, because footy isn't that anymore. You just look at the best teams in Collingwood and Brisbane and Geelong and Adelaide and Hawthorn and Freo now that they're playing well, and GWS, like all of those sides are quick and move the ball fast and boost with handball. And like they're just such a different game style to what Carlton's playing. So I think they've missed the boat.
Yeah. Oh, they've clearly missed the boat. I mean, but inside 50s, 56 to 42. So they had enough entries, but
what, they were 56.
56 contested possessions they won. Uncontested possessions they had more of. So all those numbers. Now, whether that is a last quarter was so dominant that skewed those numbers, but yeah, the questions now. Obviously, no Sam Walsh, Harry Mackay's out. Do they trade a big name at the end of this year to try and get some? And guys like Jagger Smith hopefully comes in next year and gives them something. So, I can feel the pain of Carlton supporters, but I'm hoping Vossi can.
No, it's not a mid-year, is it?
No, he's in sacking.
Not gonna sack him.
No, I don't think so. I'd be really disappointed. They've got too much history in that department. Get the personnel right around Voss in terms of players and get Graham Wright, who's a very good operator, to try and change the trajectory of this team, because they're in no man's land.
Sydney, 71 defeated. Port Adelaide versus 52. I didn't see this game, so that's why I was trying to read the score. Didn't see any of it. Apparently, Joel Amati had 8 shots at goal, kicked 6 points.
How did he do that?
I don't know. He had a negative ranking from Champion Data. He had like 15 touches and got a negative ranking. He said he threw his boots out after he got off the ground.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But you have, as Coxie, you'd have to be going, put the arm around him and say, mate,
you'd rather 6 behinds than 0-0.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're getting shots on goal, and that sounds, you should be a professional athlete and kicking those goals. But no, Sydney's just getting. It's funny when you get Goulden back, get Papley back.
Well, that's the other reason I'm saying, are they the only side that can challenge this top 9? Because they get Goulden back, they've got Mills back. He had 27 touches, 8 marks, and was very influential. Apparently, it means Heaney can go back to playing his normal role with Goulden in the side. Like, with those 2 key players back, can they just make a little run? A little run.
Well, maybe a little run. But I
couldn't sit here and say they cannot play finals. Well, I can say that about Carlton. Guaranteed.
Yeah, that's guaranteed. No, they can't make the finals, Sydney. I'm going to be definitive. I'm not going to sit in the fence. No, they will not play
about
finals.
Time. What round is it? About time you get off the fence.
Can I just make an admission as well? Didn't see this game.
I wonder why you're talking so much shit. All right, let's move on. Oh, who'd you pick, by the way? Sucked in. You picked Port Adelaide.
They're no good. Gee, and I've got, this Friday, Thursday, I can't wait to be commentating on radio, Port Adelaide and Carlton on a Thursday night.
You're kidding. That's the game.
It's some rubbish games, which mean not a lot already. We're around 14 or 15 or whatever about.
Collingwood 108 defeated St Kilda 74. Marvel Stadium. I saw a bit of this. Pies held a pretty close lead for most of the game and kicked away late in this one. Won by
34.
Won by. So, yeah, it was kind of St Kilda were challenging, hanging around, but it just felt like Collingwood were not waiting for them, but they were just like,
arm's length.
Put the foot down, and we will.
Let's not bury the lead. Let me ask you, Marcus Windhager, Nick Dacos, Ross Lyons had his say. Windhager has been given a $1,000 fine by the MRO. I have looked. Was it an open hand?
Mate, look.
It looked open hand.
Can I just say, this has nothing to do with Nick Dacos. Everyone's saying he's a flopper.
He's a gun.
He's a gun, a hard player, contested player. I give him shit about never seen him without Josh and Peter, right? I'm just having a laugh. He's a fucking weapon. Like, he's had 30 with one of the tightest tags of all time. Kicked a goal. Like, just a gun. Can I say that? What has Marcus Windhager been fined for? That action happens 1 million times a game. Every stoppage, every midfielder is doing that. Like, I actually can't fathom how that is a $1,000 fine.
Do you think, though...
Well, it's actually a $1,500 fine.
Forget the fine there.
Challenge it.
Do you think, forget that fine, do you think that the actions of Windhager on the night...
I love it. You know I love it.
Yeah, I know.
You can't take that out of the game. I heard Kingy, I love David King's stuff, saying, we've got to protect our best players. No, we don't. Not from people that are trying to play a role for their side. Kingy played with a million of them. I played with some of my favourite teammates are guys that would sacrifice their game to stop another's. That is what our game is about. Now, can you scratch, pinch and bite? No. But can you be physical? Can you give little cheapy? Yeah, you can. Absolutely. If we take that out of the game, seriously.
So if Dacos has had 30 and kicked a great goal in the last quarter, did the tag work?
Oh, you'd say no, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not. I agree with you. I think there's a place in our game, and obviously and if you're trying to win the game, that's exactly. Ross Lyon had no concerns at all about how it was done. Just want to make sure that Windhager was with him every second of the day or night.
I couldn't be more in favour of having the dark arts of being a midfield tagger to someone who wants to sacrifice their game to stop another. It has to be a part of our game. And if we lose that because we're fining players for putting a hand on someone, that's a disgrace by the AFL. But seen plenty of them this year, Skeeter, so we'll just move on. GWS defeated Gold Coast 106-99 in what I say is probably the game of the year, I reckon.
Game of the year?
I watched every minute of this. It was unreal.
Better than Giants and Geelong? Remember that game in Geelong? That was pretty good.
Not enough lead changes in that one.
Really?
I don't think so.
I think there were. No, but so the Giants have been involved in.
You know what else? I didn't watch that one. I didn't see it. I just saw the score on that one. I didn't watch that one.
Anyway.
Okay, can I say again? It's the best game I've watched this year.
Okay.
So it had everything. Gold Coast, like I said, was just absolutely braining GWS all over them. Couldn't doing a thing wrong, and GWS couldn't do a thing right. And then it just flipped, and GWS turned into this. Well, they turned themselves into a winning side by just grinding at the contest. The pressure they put on Gold Coast, continuous pressure, even down by, 6 or 7 goals, they just continued and came. And I just think that's a bit of a legacy game for them this year. That could skyrocket them, seriously.
Well, you mentioned how good they were in the contest. I mean, Tom Green, was that the most clearances of any player in a single game this season? 16. That's a significant stat. And the package, he stood up in the last quarter. They kicked 8 goals. 8 goals in the last quarter, which I know it's a great win for the Giants and an absolutely disastrous, given what you said with the Suns in the first quarter, maybe even the first half, to go down as they did with and the momentum of the Giants in the last quarter was something irrepressible.
Did you see the packages goals? Have you seen them?
Yeah, I've seen them, yeah.
Mate, I reckon there'd be 5 people in the league that could kick both of them. They're on either side of the ground. If you haven't seen it, go do yourself a favour. He kicked one where he crumbed the ball, fumbled it closer to the boundary, and again, I'm trying to describe it for those just listening, but he had to kick it really hard. There was a player that was going to be able to smother it in the goal square if he didn't kick it, so he kicked the absolute shit out of it. And instead of doing the bender where it sort of rolls around in a big arc, He just kicked it straight through the middle, like snapped it straight, which is so difficult to do. You got to hold the ball straight up and down rather than a little bit more diagonal. So that was one. And then the other side, he's got the ball running along the left-hand boundary and he's kicked it on his right, like fading into the boundary.
And the balance or the where you're running, it had made no sense for it to go through.
Like he kicked it with the power of his hips going one way and his body was going the other, and he just drilled it. Like, I don't think there'd be, I said 5. I don't know too many other players that could do either side like that.
Well, if he can stay healthy and give Jesse a chop out, Sam Taylor's obviously a medium to long termer with his toe, but yeah, the best of the Giants are still very good. We know that, but they're a bit let's say flaky. They're a bit up and down for me to be a contender at this stage.
They play West Coast. No.
When?
No. Have a look at this. This is wrong. This is all wrong. Who they play this week?
Well, Collingwood's got West Coast this week.
They have a bye.
So these buys are doing my head in.
They have a bye and then they play West Coast.
How many? Right. And that's on a Friday night here.
Yeah. So that's so it's not wrong. So they play West Coast in 2 weeks. They play Geelong, Essendon, Sydney Bulldogs. So a bit up and down there, but yeah, I rate them highly. Out of those 9, Collingwood, Brisbane, Geelong, Adelaide, Hawthorn, Freo, GWS, Bulldogs, Gold Coast. Who misses if that's locked in? Who misses the finals? Someone will. Yeah. So do you think Collingwood will miss finals?
No. So give us the bottom 2 or 3 again in the 8.
Well, I'll give you from 4 down, I reckon. I don't think Geelong misses finals.
No.
Right?
No.
Adelaide?
No. They stay.
Hawthorn?
I think they stay.
Freo?
Stay.
GWS? So they're all on the same amount of points. Yeah. Adelaide, Hawthorn, Freo, GWS, they're all on 36.
And who's after GWS?
Bulldogs in 8th on 32 and Gold Coast on pseudo 32. They're actually 32 plus or minus.
And given Essendon's their make-up game.
So you have them on 36. So, technically Bulldogs are probably 9th.
I'll stay with the ladder as it is.
So Gold Coast misses finals. I kind of agree with you.
I don't know why. I just have this concern that they will tail at the back end of this year. That means that they might put it this way. I still believe they may well be playing for a top 8 spot after everyone's finished their home and away campaign.
I don't know if Freo fans are sitting here going, we're definitely playing.
Oh, no. Finals. Well, no. But they've got St Kilda this week. Marcus Windhager's going to turn up and do what he does. And Rossell. And bear in mind, they'll have scarring from the last time they played St Kilda.
Yeah, that's a good point. They might tag with 3 different people, I reckon. Rossell will go, you know what, you're going to fight him 1,000. I'm going to tag. My whole team's tagging, one-on-one everywhere. Western Bulldogs defeat Richmond 135-56. I'm not spending any time on this, mate. Like, Richmond... Good on you. Thanks for trying.
A gun, a superstar.
Yeah, well, what do you have? 36, 7 clearances, 3 goals. Sam Darcy, he can play. Gave old mate a bath.
Who do you play him? Bolter?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, bathed him. 19 disposals, 8 marks, 5 goals. Trelaw did his calf. So
yes, and that's an interesting one because he just hasn't been able to get his body right. And that's the big storyline, a negative storyline for the Bulldogs. He's had his calf continuously going. I think, and he's come back in straight away after he's been injured and recovered. I think he might. This occasion, given the finals are sort of on the horizon, I think he has to go back and play some VFL.
Yes,
and yeah, it's just a bit of a concern for him that he continually. And as you know, like calves, if you keep doing them, yeah, the susceptibility there, and I have a bit of concern that he might not be fit at the right time of the year. And he's had some tough times to endure, hasn't he?
Has done a lot of soft tissues over his career. Adelaide, Hawthorn, Melbourne and West Coast had the bye. Let's get into the questions and comments. If you do want to get involved in the show, we'd love to hear from you. Jump onto YouTube, put a question in the comments section below right now, or you can jump on Instagram, or you can send us an email, footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. We will do all of those as we go. Now, Jack Hoddies says, Scully, have a shelter and chill the F out. I think we're a bit grumpy on Thursday, Skeeter.
Were you? Okay.
I
wasn't grumpy. I'd been in the state of origin when we'd won the game by...
We're grumpy. First 10 to 15 minutes. Mum, Dad, stop fighting. Ha, good work today, lads. That was brilliant. Re-evaluation, MG. Okay, Skeet, I need your attention for this one. You're putting punts.
No, I'm just watching the NBA, but I'll keep going. Good game.
Yeah. What's your investment in it?
No, I've had a bet, I swear. I'm just having a look. It's a game 7. So generally there's a big game. You're allowed to watch it.
I'm not Victoria.
No, I'm just telling you, I haven't. I'm watching. It's 34-32.
I'm going with Max Goldman, Scoey, and John Gustafsson, Skeet, from the Grumpy Old Men movies after Day's early crankiness in the episode.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's probably spot on. I don't know who they are. But it sounds like us.
And Cough Dog 88 says,
Cough Dog,
is that me?
Well, you're now drinking tea, is that right? To try and alleviate your throat?
Yeah.
What is wrong with your throat? You've got in winter. I genuinely fear for your
health.
You've just been able to talk.
Yeah. Well,
is tea helping? What?
What do you want me to fucking answer? Like what's wrong with my throat?
Have you swapped coffee for tea? I've been told, my confidant told me that that's what you swapped. Coffee for tea.
Who's
is that
your
right?
confidant?
Him.
Yes, I have. Is that okay? Is that okay with you?
No, I'm just trying to help you through these tough times.
Fucking hell.
Thank you, Jane.
When's July start?
Oh, yeah.
Dry July for you then?
Yeah, I think I'm doing July. I've committed to it. Adam Papalier and myself.
Great. So
he said Papalier is fine because he, had one shelter a month.
Goes to Busselton once every 2 months, has a drink. And you're going to have to bloody reset your whole life.
No, that's rubbish. Mate, 2 days of the week I struggle.
Best effort all season. West Coast had the bye from Cough Dog. All right, that's us, Skeet. We're done. I'll go fix my throat up. So sorry, mate. Like, you think I'm doing it on purpose?
No, you're sounding great.
You're sounding great.
See you Thursday.
Okay, bye.